from London West.
Thank you, Speaker. My question is to the Acting Premier. Speaker, yesterday a report was released recommending that large-scale EQAO testing continue for every Ontario student in grades 6 and 10. Speaker, 67% of Ontarians agree with New Democrats that EQAO census testing is not working for students. People for Education points out that 20 years of EQAO results have done nothing to close the education equity gap. Instead, EQAO allows schools to be ranked against one another, creating winners and losers and primarily benefiting real estate agents at a cost of millions of dollars that could be used in the classroom. Will the Acting Premier listen to parents, educators, students, trustees, education experts and others? Instead of making changes to EQAO, will she commit to eliminating EQAO altogether?
Yes. Acting Premier.
Speaker, Minister of Education and Minister responsible for early years and childcare.
Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I'm pleased to answer this question. Mr. Speaker, I find it interesting that the party opposite is so interested in education now, when actually in their 2014 platform they had no mention of education. And I just want them to know that on this side of the House, we have been making investments in our education system for many years, and these investments are ones that I'm proud of. Mr. Speaker, our world is rapidly changing, and our classrooms need to keep up with that change. Absolutely, we need to make informed decisions, and we need to ensure that where there are gaps and challenges in the system, that we are on top of them, so that we can give our system and our educators and our students the supports that they need. That is why we commissioned an independent review of Ontario's student assessment and reporting, led by the highly respected Dr. Carol Campbell and her 5 advisors. The review's recommendations suggest that the status quo is no longer working well enough, and I'm happy to explain more in these.
Supplementary.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, ask any parent and they will tell you. They look to report cards and teacher feedback to let them know how well their child is doing, not EQAO results. Parents understand that teaching to narrow tests in literacy and numeracy takes up too much teacher focus, creates undue stress on students, and diverts resources away from student learning. Speaker, this Liberal government has had 15 years to address long-standing concerns about EQAO. They've had 15 years to replace EQAO with an effective random sample testing model that will provide a true check on the Ontario curriculum while helping to identify the supports that students need. Is this government's newfound interest in changing EQAO another last-ditch attempt to try to win back support before the June election?
Thank you. Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I want to remind the member opposite that we're actually the ones that embarked on this review, and it is a comprehensive review. I also want to ensure that the member opposite has actually read what the recommendations were, and if she had, she would know actually that the advisors and Dr. Carol Campbell actually talked about
Minister.
She actually made a real distinction between what was happening in the classroom and also EQAO. And in fact, she said that what was happening in the classroom was extremely important and was actually a very good way forward in terms of assessing and actually recommended that we strengthen classroom assessment and reporting, and that we do further consultations on EQAO.